Well, Grammy, so
Here's my chance.
Yeah.
what do you think the most significant
Oh,
event
God,
in your
we're going to
lifetime
get
is?
philosophical?
Just
say whatever you think of.
Most significant event of your lifetime. Like it could have been something like 9/11 or the invention of the computer. What's the most significant
Invention of the car.
invention of
Invention
the
of the
car?
car. Invention of...
And tell us about it.
The wheel.
Yeah, the wheel. Covering fire.
That's nasty. I didn't hear it. Was it nasty?
The wheel. The invention of the wheel. He said.
The wheel?
Electricity.
Did that happen in your lifetime? The invention of the wheel.
In India,
That's
maybe.
very funny. Well, I wish I could think of some great historical event that would have affected my life,
It doesn't have to be an event. per
because
se.
if I didn't know
was
about
just
The
it.
Depression?
That's
Even,
that's-
and I
that
remember
was a
the day
pretty
Kennedy
significant-
died. That was very significant, but I was busy with children and remodeling my bathroom upstairs, you know. I didn't have great thoughts of depth about these things.
Well, how about something significant in your life, not necessarily everybody's life?
That changed my life?
Something, yeah, sure.
Well,
Or a story.
Or just something
It
you
can
want
be
to tell us
alive.
about.
Yeah.
Yes.
How
Well,
about
the, all right, the
Just make
event that
something
really
up.
changed my life was the death of this 20-year-old boyfriend that I had. That we were going to get married in the fall, and all of a sudden it was over. But his parents just took me under their wing, and he was their firstborn son, their pride and joy, their 4+ brain at Purdue University with a great future. And they just said, well, Jean, what do you want to do now? And I didn't know. And so he said, Marcia wanted you to go to college, and we'll send you to college if you want to go. And I thought, I can't let them pay for my college education. And they said, well, have you ever thought of nursing? And I said, well, yes, I even thought of that, because at that time, Cadet Nurse Corps was in, and the government paid for my education. You know, it was like V-12 and V-8, the Second World War. Boy, within a month, they had me up in Chicago, because they knew a surgeon up there at St. Luke's. Took me up there, had my interview, and by September I was in nurses training. So that was probably the biggest change in my life, because I left little old Monticello, population 3,107, and went to the big city.
Wow.
And yeah, that was probably the biggest change. Yeah.
I always thought the story about Marshall's death was interesting, and how you learned about it and
Oh.
how he died. I don't know if you want to do that. I don't know if you go
Well,
there,
he
but-
drowned in the pool at Purdue.
Oh,
He was
wow.
an excellent swimmer, and some guys had asked him to try out for the intramural because they knew he was a really good swimmer. And on this particular Tuesday, we were going to see what was that, Walt Disney famous first
Fantasia?
yeah, Fantasia that night at the Union Building. And I started calling him about. I was working at the Ross Gear and Tool Company there, and I started calling him about 2:30 in the afternoon, and he wasn't there. And anyway, I kept calling. He never called me back. But some girls, and I went over to Norma's dorm and was waiting for Marshall and we were going to go to the show. And this girl comes in Norma's room and said, "Hey, Norma, do you know a guy named Charlie Bush?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Yes, you do. His name is Charles Marshall." And this gal said, "Well, Charlie Bush drowned in the pool this afternoon at Purdue."
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
That's how
that's
you
how I
found out.
heard of it. But what happened was, the story was that the guys were swimming, standing along the edge of the pool, and one looked down and said, "There's a body down there." And then the guy said, "No," and they jumped in, and Marshall was on the bottom of the pool. And he evidently had an embolism, because he was an excellent swimmer, but he was swimming alone. So that's how we all heard about it.
So he had a coronary?
No, an
No,
aneurysm.
an
I-
I thought she said embolism.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah,
He had an aneurysm or
yeah,
an
it's a
embolism?
blockage, yeah.
Some kind of
So
blockage
flat in the
somewhere.
brain and died immediately.
How about a story that doesn't revolve around death?
What story?
How about a story that doesn't revolve around death?
that revolves around.
It does
not.
A joyful story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Joyful story.
A joyful story. Probably the birth of my first child, you know. And
That would be Elaine.
she was just awful about arriving and all twisted up. Cord wrapped around her neck a couple of times.
We won't talk about
Ordinarily,
what the significance of that is.
ordinarily she'd have been a cesarean nowadays, but we went through it together. Her head finally started turning. I was in the delivery room and I heard a surgeon say, "Hey, look at it, he's turning, he's turning." We didn't know it was a boy or girl. And she just automatically turned her head around,
umbilical cord was
uncoiled
around
from
my
the
neck.
cord.
Yeah.
That complicates things.
Yeah.
Usually.
So they started
Slightly.
pushing one doctor on one side of her, one doctor on the other. I was told, and somehow I got the message somehow. I mean, what can you say?
Right. Hands
So
on both sides.
I started to unravel
Oh, so you
myself,
came,
and then I finally got born.
so
Yeah.
you got the
But
cord
it's-
out from
the
around your neck?
courses are there. But that's the bad part
Wow.
about it. What
Well,
the
she was
good
in a
part
great amount
about
of
it?
pain.
You asked me what the good part.
Yes.
What something good in my life? When you have your first baby, it's just the most amazing thing to think I made a baby, and it's just.
So I
just
went to do
remember
it 5
being
more
hazy, realizing I've had a baby, a real live baby. So that's really an exciting experience.
So happy you decided to pop out 5 more? Was it 5 or 4 more?
Yeah, I just
5
couldn't
more.
quit. It was so much fun. Cried the whole 9 months I was pregnant for Betsy. But we
Oh,
all
she's
made up
gone.
for it. Everybody spoiled her. No. Anyway, it's a pretty exciting thing when you realize there's another life growing inside you.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
I love the how you met stories, and you guys probably already all know it, but how you met your dad.
Oh, yeah.
I love
How'd
those
you meet
stories.
Grandpa?
How I met Ben on a blind date.
No.
My senior year in school, and this girl
That is to
that
say, nurses training.
she was a doll. Her name was Dorothy Lamb, but we couldn't stand her. Isabel, my roommate, had been her roommate first, and Dottie was just blue-eyed, naturally curly hair, just a doll. We couldn't stand her, and she didn't treat Isabel nice when they were roommates. So here we are out at Contagious Hospital, Dottie and I together.
Contagious?
And she was engaged to Jean Nalepa. And she said, Jean is bringing a friend down because he has a new car. He has a new Buick. And he wants to put miles on it. And so I'm supposed to get him a date. Do you want to go? So I said, sure. And,
Why not?
yeah. And so that's how we met. And I met him in the nursing home in the waiting room because we were waiting for Dottie to get off duty.
But this
And
is the
I
nurse's
just
residence.
charmed the pants off of him. Almost. Figure of speech.
Yeah, right. How lewd.
Well, did you see the picture of her in her nurse uniform? She was a babe.
Yep.
She was
Oh, whatever
Babe.
happened, Grammy, whatever.
Oh,
Kristen has it in her cookbook.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Grammy, whatever happened
Oh.
to that picture of you when you were 17 that was hanging on this wall
Oh, yeah.
some odd years ago?
Where is that?
I didn't even know it was
I
you.
think
I remember
it's-
looking, I was like, who is
I
that?
think it's in
And you
the
told me-
bedroom up there.
It could
I've
be
got it
back in the
scanned if you
bedroom.
want a copy.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Well,